It's a pornography store. I was buying pornography. I would have never thought of that.
Hello and welcome to the Hypertrophy Odyssey, chapter 337. It is the third day of the week, aka the Spirit Bomb workout. I am feeling pretty good right now. I'm very excited for this workout. But anyways, to the main subject matter for today, part 3 in the entire look into the four horsemen of the apocalypse, according to me, of course. Today's subject is going to be very surface level. There's a lot to go down in this one. We are going to be talking about pornography. Of course, I have to use that terminology here because if I say the actual term, it will get me fucked on YouTube, which is funny how that would work, right? But anyways, the corn industry, an unfortunately pervasive industry in this world, is a lot of not good things in this world. To put it simply, we have lost a lot of people to a generation of the industry for so many different reasons, whether it be the addiction side, which I totally understand because I'm there, or the people who participate in it, or even worse than that, the people who get recycled because of it, aka trafficking. So those are three of the things where, regardless of where you are on the spectrum, it is fucked, and fucked beyond belief. And the issue with it is, at the end of the day, it's not going to go anywhere, even though it should go somewhere. But realistically, we are never going to actually treat it with the actual proper care and also decisive swiftness that we need to, because of how ingrained it is with society, as well as the people who run it are highly ingrained in society. But that's a whole other subject for a whole other day. But because this itself will be its own series 100%. This is the overview of this. I might dabble upon each thing, but realistically, I will go into every single aspect of this industry in particular, and how pervasive it is, how it has permeated every single possible aspect of society in some way, shape, or form, to the point where the only way to get out of it is by watching kids shows or something like that. And even then, when you're watching kids shows, you have to hope to God you're watching older kids shows, because the newer kids shows are even kind of swaying that way, which is kind of weird. If you think about it, it's kind of strange, right? But it's a whole other subject as well. So I'm going to try to keep this as surface level as humanly possible for this one, because like I said, there's so much to talk about with this particular one. Do I think this is the worst one? No. Well, probably. Out of the four, this is probably the worst one. Why? Because it is so easy to see how it can destroy lives on all sides of the spectrum. It doesn't matter, man, woman, child, you can see it. It's very simple how it's bad. You know, it's not rocket science. Like with gambling, if you gamble amongst friends like $1, that's fine. It's not the end of the world here. Obviously, it's when you ramp things up. Drugs aren't necessarily the best as well, but also recreationally, if you have, half a brain and also aren't addicted to it, even though they are made to be addicted to, it's still something that you can come back from. This is one of those things that once you go into the rabbit hole, regardless of where you are on the spectrum, it's the toughest motherfucker to get out of. I don't think that any other one is tougher, because it's not only just your own self, but it's also a societal push for these things. All you have to go look at some average guy's Instagram, explore page. That's all you have to do. And it's not like you look at one thing and then they start pushing it like crazy on you. The moment that you even give it half a second of a thought, all of a sudden it's pushed in your face. But that's kind of a different story in itself. I just want to go overall. Just try to basically explain why it's bad. And then we're going to go into each individual one in later episodes. But I think I really do think inherently, people understand it's not good at all. And I don't think anybody who actually defends it will only ever defend one aspect of it, but cautiously and or haphazardly leave out other parts of it, which most people could agree with. Like, for example, the trafficking part. It's funny how that one always slips by, no matter what. The empowerment people, oh right, this might lead to trafficking. Uh-oh. But you see, those are the types of things that we're talking about this subject matter. You got to be a little bit dancy-wancy, which is stupid because realistically, because we can't be very upfront and honest about it, makes it even harder to talk about it and the actual issues that society has come from, that have come from this, So it is probably the toughest of them all out of the three. Sure. To go back a little bit, because before I go downstairs, I want to touch upon this. It is the worst of it because the last one is overconsumption. That's the next episode, which I've briefly talked about. But overconsumption, that is the driver of the other three, basically. It's not necessarily the end all be all, because you can overconsume one thing, of course, but it's not the end of the world if you do. You can come back from everything like that. This is one of those things it's rough to come back from. And it only gets worse. And I feel like once you get into that rabbit hole, it's tough. It's really, truly tough. So we'll talk about that, a lot of other stuff, and maybe a few dirtier subject matters when it comes to it. Like I said, a lot of episodes on this, so we'll talk more about this when we get to Mother Base. All right, so started this day off with AD Press, which was pretty good. But anyways, back to the main subject matter at hand here. The Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse, Part 4. The corn industry. So this one is relatively self-explanatory. I feel like this is one of those that will get a series because there's so many elements and factors to it that are terrible for not only just literally everybody that's involved. There's no win-win situation here. There's only one person that comes out on top of this, and that is the corporations that make money from it, which we will do an entire episode about because I would like to expose these people, because a lot of them actually are anonymous for very strange reasons. It makes you wonder why, right? But we'll get there when we get there, whenever we discuss them in particular. But first, why is it bad? Well, one, the actual watching of it is just as bad and as addicting as heroin and cocaine. So it has the same effects as drugs would on the brain. Second reason is because it desensitizes men to see women as more objects than they actually are, because they should be human beings. And then on the woman's side, they are just objectified to no end, and also are leading to certain women getting trafficked, which we will get to in a different episode as well, because trafficking is a major issue in the porn industry. Because a lot of these women who are watched by men who all of a sudden decide, hey, I'm going to do terrible things to other women and steal them and then make them do whatever I want. Trafficking is kind of stemmed from these types of things. And I know what somebody would say, oh no, they're already going to be bad, but they're influenced by these things because we were technically probably never meant to have this much access to all of this type of stuff all at once ever, really. It really just sucks on both ends. And for those who say sex work is real work, that is a farce. That is something that is said so that way people will stay poor and also will be the dredges of society and with no upward mobility at all. And it sucks because it's just a trick in order to get people to stay down there. There is no other way to describe it, but that's a different episode as well. Everything about this is terrible. I don't think there's anybody that comes out on top. Even those who you say like, oh, what about these OF models that make millions of dollars? Yeah, if your soul is worth $1 million, good luck. There's so much more to life than than money, that a soul would be much better to have. And I think anybody with any type of modicum of an inner monologue can have some sort of idea, in which case that things aren't worth selling your soul for. And this is one of those things. Sure, they might have a monetary upcoments in the world, but at the end of the day, what's ever on the internet is on there forever. And a lot of the time, if they're popular, you can get it for free, because that's the fun of the internet. You just have to do a few clicks of the button, and all of a sudden, you got to show that to the world. And nobody really wants a partner where 99% of the people that can do that with, as well as having to explain to their future child why I'm getting bullied in school because my mom happened to have naked pictures of herself all over the internet. Nothing like in the future when some kid is going to commit suicide because his mom did anal and he saw the video at school and it pushed him to suicide. I 100% guarantee this will happen, and I 100% call this, because it's gonna be one of the major issues that's going to happen. And that's the other thing too, is that it has trickled down into all sorts of subjects. It doesn't matter where it is, it doesn't matter who you think it's safe from it, no one's safe. Everything is tainted as it slowly progresses. And if you don't have corporations already tainting it with random things, trying to make it everything sexualized, because everything has become sexualized, it's people making fantasy things about these sexualizations of things. For example, all of what is Rule 34, aka if it exists, there is a porn of it, is truly a issue at a certain point, because you can find anything there. And I mean truly anything. And it's quite frankly disgusting if we were to just see it from the outside. I don't think there's any real defense for this. I don't want to hear, like, if anybody in the comments has a defense for any of this, please let me know. And if it's better than something stupid like, oh, just let people enjoy things, that is the most retarded thing ever, but we're going to have that in a different episode. And now I'll leave you with this scenario as to why this is so bad and can really put it in perspective. If I were to plop you down in the 1920s, forget all like the stuff that would happen because you're a minority or whatever the fuck would happen, right? Just pretend you're just in the 1920s and you're just, you blend in, right? Find me a naked woman. How long do you think that would take? Genuinely, how long do you think that would take? Days? Weeks? You know, that would be a crazy amount of time that you would have to do in the 1920s versus today, in which case, find me 100 naked women. Now, that is, I could show you that within 5 minutes. 100 different women naked within 5 minutes. That is an insane amount of just dopamine hitting the brain all at once. That is insane. That's why this type of stuff should have been in Pandora's box, but unfortunately has been unlocked, and I have no idea how the fuck you get out of this, because this one is truly fucked, because you have people that are so deranged and addicted to it that even the conversation of saying, hey, it's bad, we should probably stop, gets stopped on both ends, because for some reason feminists love to believe that sex work is real work, but then just conveniently ignore all the thousands of women that get trafficked and get objectified because of it. And then the other side of it, you have men that are addicted that want to just see more and more and more and more and more, to the point where they're literally living in goon caves where they have 6 monitors masturbating all fucking day. So no matter where you go, you're going to have these weird extremes of people that are just fucking disgusting, who will not actually try to solve anything because they're going to be so clamped down into their own worldview that they don't realize, hey, this shit's bad. Maybe we should stop it, so then that way future generations don't have to deal with it. But hey. And we're back. Welcome to the workout debriefing. Exercises not filmed, none. Exercises skipped, also none. Got everything in, thankfully. I'm going to keep this one relatively brief because I think that there's so much to this subject that I can't really have a closing statement. This is more of a closing statement of the first sentence of a 75-page long essay. This is going to be one of the ones that I hit the nail on the head the most out of the rest of these, because this one, there's so much to talk about. This is probably the worst of everything that we have to deal with because of how permeated it is. I think that no matter who you are, I think that there should be something inherently wrong if you are looking at it from both sides, a man or woman. either way, or even somewhere in between. It doesn't matter. I think that most people can understand that. I know that there are some people that don't want to see past it, but realistically, there is no good that comes from this. I don't understand how there would be any good, because realistically you're dealing with what is essentially the bottom of the barrel in terms of society. I mean, it is something that we never really allowed to discuss, really, because it is censored everywhere in the places that you are, and you are bombarded with it, and thus you can't really not just consume it, or just there's no real place to actually discuss it and or not consume it, because it is permeated everywhere. There isn't a single corner that you can get away from, minus children's cartoons, but I've already said that. I truly think it's probably the worst thing of all of them, because it's bad for everybody. Nobody makes it out on top on the other end. There might be some case studies or just the occasional person that was in the industry that's out of it that may have a family or whatever, but that's not going to be good in 20 years when that kid's like 20 or something, or they start a family or whatever. A lot of them just end up either dead or just irrelevant, or doing the same thing over and over again until they're skin and bones, and then they're done. They're just done. It's not something that I think that anybody would want to keep doing, but there are no options once you open that door. Everything else kind of closes down, really. Not necessarily everything, but it's not a good sight. And then if you're on the other side, you're helping perpetuate the entire industry on its own. So it really does get it from all sides, and I think there is nothing like we can't even necessarily ban it, because I think that banning it isn't even, it could work, but realistically it's not. If we want to look at a country that banned it all, we could look at something like India, but that leads to a different issue. But maybe that's a different topic for a different day. Really, it's probably another part later on. With the other two, like gambling, even overconsumption, and something and drugs, there may be something that you can do about it. Maybe you can try to figure out some type of system to outmaneuver those. The corn industry, what? I genuinely have no idea. And it's not even like you can be Puritan, because that's just not going to happen. It's truly the Pandora's box that can never be really closed. So we kind of either have to live with it or find something to limit it and or destroy it. There's no real way that we can live with it and or put it back in its box and pretend it doesn't exist. We are at that point now. I think the best way to describe it, and I think this is the ultimate way, really, is something that Jordan Peterson said, which was that the average 12-year-old can see more beautiful women naked than all the previous most richest kings in the history of the world within a matter of moments, which is an insane flux of something, you know? That is, if you truly think about the scale that we're talking about here, that is insane. And we are being driven it into our brains at all times. So it's just fucked. I mean, really, I don't like being black-pilled. Hell, I am the most white-pilled person you would know, but this is one of the black pills that's tough. This one sucks because you have to understand it sucks. It's the other side of it that can get better. You can do things to kind of dodge it and move around it, but this one's tough. This one is truly tough because I have no idea how the hell we're supposed to get past this. So, and this one really no idea. There's too much money. There's too much everything in there. So we'll have to find out, but we'll have to wait and see. And with that being said, tell me your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions about this one. This was a continuation of the look at the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse. We have one more left, which isn't necessarily the worst of them, but also this one leads into everything else. So I will discuss that in the next episode. But with that being said, please like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this video with anybody who may or may not like it. I will be back on tomorrow with a new video. Thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I will see you in the next one. Keep it heavy. Stay safe out there and stay cool. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.